The age at which the menstrual cycle starts, that's called menarche, and the cycles, they stop at menopause. In between these two phases, there are cyclical changes that happen in the ovary called the ovarian cycle. There are also changes in the uterus, and that's called the menstrual cycle itself or the uterine cycle. Both of these are under the influence of a hormonal cycle.
Now, let's talk about the ovarian cycle. There are actually 3 phases within the ovarian cycle, and they are follicular, ovulatory, and luteal. What's really great about these phases, if you think about the words, it actually tells you what's going on. So now let's talk about what's going on in the ovary very specifically, because it's a very intricate process. Now, the whole goal of the ovary is to release a mature egg. That's how we get a baby. But we need to think about what happens to make that process go. Okay, let's break down what's going on in the ovarian cycle. Do you see that word, follicular phase? We want to focus on the follicle and what's going on inside the follicle. Now, the follicle is actually a collection of fluid, and it's a space. And inside that space, the ovum or the egg is going to reconstitute or grow or mature. And inside that follicle is where we have the production of estrogen. Remember that feedback loop with the anterior pituitary and also with the hypothalamus. That happens because of what is going on inside the follicle. Now, FSH is going to predominate in the follicular phase because we have to make sure the follicle is ready and we have to make sure the ovum is matured. But about 24 to 36 hours prior to ovulation, then we need a message to say, pop, the egg is ready. And that's the role of LH, or luteinizing hormone, which is also produced by the anterior pituitary. So remember that 24 to 36 hours prior to ovulation, we're going to experience a surge in luteinizing hormone, which is going to be the trigger for ovulation. So now let's talk about the last half of the ovarian cycle, the luteal phase. Luteal comes from the word lutein, which means yellow. So guess what color it is? It is yellow. And it makes a small mass of cells that are left over after the egg erupts from the follicle. So as the cells collapse, the corpus luteum is formed, and its major function is to produce progesterone. And progesterone has an incredible responsibility because it is the hormone that stabilizes the endometrium. Estrogen makes the lining of the uterus fluffy for a baby, and progesterone helps to keep the lining in place. And it will do that all the way up until about 8 to 10 weeks in pregnancy, when the placenta takes over the function of producing progesterone. So that's the role of the luteum, the corpus luteum, the yellow body. Now, if there's a pregnancy, there is going to be the production of HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. And that HCG will send a message to the corpus luteum that, hey, I need you to keep producing progesterone until the placenta is ready to take over. However, in 12 to 14 days, if there's no production of HCG and no baby, then the corpus luteum will degenerate and the progesterone levels will drop. And that drop in progesterone sends a message back to the hypothalamus that I need you to start producing GnRH and then begin this cycle all over again. That is the ovarian cycle.
Let's look at the uterine cycle. Remember, we have 2 cycles, the ovarian cycle and the uterine cycle. The uterine cycle occurs in concert with the ovarian cycle. So I introduced you to the phases of the uterine cycle earlier. Recall that they are the menstrual phase, the proliferative phase, and the secretory phase. In the 3 phases, the menstrual phase occurs from days 1 to 5. Proliferative is from day 6 to day 14. So that coincides with the follicular phase of the ovarian cycle. The secretory phase coincides with the luteal phase. If you recall, that's from day 15 to day 28 of the ovarian cycle. The diagram in the center here is showing you how the endometrium changes thickness. It starts off fairly thick and then gets fairly thin, and then it starts getting thicker and thicker and thicker, and then eventually it'll get thinner. Now what we need to do is discuss the details of the uterine cycle. So the first phase of the uterine cycle is the menstrual phase. So this occurs when your estrogen and progesterone levels are declining because the corpus luteum degenerated. Remember, there was no fertilization. No fertilization means the corpus luteum degenerates. Therefore, there's no production of estrogen or progesterone. So the menstrual phase does correspond to the period of menstruation. So during menstruation, you have decreased blood delivery to the endometrium. So if there's less blood being delivered to the endometrium, the tissue dies and it sloughs into the vagina. So that's what causes menstrual flow. At the end of menstruation, now the second part of the uterine cycle occurs, which is called the proliferative. So what the uterus is doing is it's preparing for the fertilized ovum in case it's fertilized. So to prepare, the endometrium lining has to develop. The layer grows, the glands get bigger, the smooth muscle gets thicker, and the cervical glands are secreting mucus. The development of the lining and the things that are occurring here is caused by the increased estrogen levels. The next phase then is the secretory phase, and it's going to begin as the endometrium then is preparing for implantation. So it prepares for implantation by doing the following. And by implantation, what we mean is we're implanting the zygote, right, the fertilized egg, in the wall of the uterus. The secretory phase then, you have an increase in blood supply. There's enlarged glands that secrete glycogen. Why would you want glycogen there? Think about that. Cervical secretions that form a plug, okay, and that's due to progesterone levels going up. Now, let's say fertilization doesn't happen now. So the body's prepared for it, but let's say it doesn't happen. So if fertilization does not occur, the corpus luteum degenerates, and the follicular phase begins all over again the next month.
Good morning, class. Good morning, Mom. How are you today? We're all fine, Mom. Okay, who are absent this morning? None, Mom. Okay, very good. Do we have an assignment class meeting? No, Mom. Okay, very good. Before we start our class discussion, I have here classroom rules that we need to follow during our class discussion.
The age at which the menstrual cycle starts, that's called menarche, and cycles they stop at menopause. In between these two phases, there are cyclical changes that happen in the ovarian cycle. There are also changes in the uterus, and that's called the menstrual cycle itself, or the uterine cycle. Both of these are under the influence of the hormone cycle.
Now, let's talk about the ovarian cycle. There are actually three phases within the ovarian cycle, and they are follicular, ovulatory, and luteal. What's really great about these phases, if you think about the words, it actually tells you what's going on. So now let's talk about what's going on in the ovary, very specifically, because it's a very intricate process. Now, the whole goal of the ovary is to release a mature egg. That's how we get a baby. But we need to think about what happens to make that process go. Okay, let's break down what's going on in the ovarian cycle. You see that word follicular phase? We want to focus on the follicle and what's going on inside the follicle. Now, the follicle is actually a collection of fluid, and it's a space. And inside that space, the ovum or the egg is going to reconstitute or grow or mature. And inside that follicle is where we have the production of estrogen. Remember that feedback loop with the anterior pituitary and also with the hypothalamus. That happens because of what is going on inside the follicle. Now, FSH is going to predominate in the follicular phase because we have to make sure the follicle is ready. And we have to make sure the ovum is mature. About 24 to 36 hours prior to ovulation, and you need a message to say, the egg is ready. And that's the role of egg.
Are you done in class? Not yet, Mom. Okay, don't forget to pay for your representative to present to your college. Yes, Mom. To continue your activity. Are you done in class? Yes, Mom. Okay, please. Please fill out the report. Okay, group one, where's your representative? Okay, good morning, classmates. Good morning, ma'am. We are the group one. What is menstruation? What is menstruation? Is normal vaginal bleeding that occurs often as part of woman's monthly cycle. And the second is why menstruation is important. It is important to prepare the body for a pregnancy. When pregnancy does not, your menstrual cycle happens. Okay, very good. Keep your hands to group one. Okay, group two will share responsibilities. Good morning, everyone. What is ovarian cycle? Ovarian cycle is the growth and maturation of an oocyte and preparation for fertilization and reproduction. Second is give the phases of ovarian cycle. Follicular phase of Then use it with typing. Appears as ovulation. Okay, thank you. How about group 5? Hi everyone, we are group 5 and there are three phases of ovarian cycle. We have follicular phase, ovulation phase, and luteal phase. We say follicular phase is referring to that part of our menstrual cycle when an egg matures in your ovaries. When we say ovulation phase, it is a phase of the female menstrual cycle that involves the release of an egg from the one of the ovaries. And the luteal phase, it happens in the second part of your menstrual cycle. Okay, thank you. Okay, yes. Based on all the activity that we have done earlier, anyone who can tell what is our lesson that we are going to discuss? Okay, May? I think our topic this morning is all about menstruation or was the menstruation cycle. Okay, very good. Our topic this morning is all about menstrual cycle. Before we proceed, let us know first the objectives that we need to attain. as- Okay, everybody listen. Objectives. Given the materials and activities, the grade 5 pupils will be able to do the following with at least 75% level of accuracy. Characterize the phases of menstrual cycle. Draw the diagram of menstrual cycle and label its phases, and give the importance of menstrual cycle. Okay, class, in order to attain these objectives, they want to cooperate and participation in our activities. Is that clear, class? Yes, ma'am. Okay, class. Now, who can give me a short definition about menstruation? Me. Menstruation is all about the bleeding of the female that occurs post-monthly cycle. Okay, you. Okay, everybody listen. Menstruation is a natural process. It is a complex cycle controlled by female hormones that cause regular bleeding. Okay, yes, menstruation is a normal vaginal bleeding that occurs in women or monthly cycle. Next, what is ovarian cycle? You can give me a brief definition only about ovarian cycle. Okay, Melody. Ovarian cycle is a birth and not creation of and a period and in preparation for fertilization and reproduction. Okay, thank you. Okay, everybody listen. Ovarian cycle is regulated by several hormones and occurs in females during puberty and lasts until menopause begins. Okay, class. Ovarian cycles control several hormones during female puberty. And who can give me the phases of ovarian cycle? Okay, Angelique. The phases of ovarian cycle are follicular phase, ovulation phase, and luteal. Okay, very good. We have the three phases of ovarian cycle. Which are the ovarian cycle? And we have follicular phase, ovulation phase, and luteal. We are going to discuss one by one about the ovarian cycle. Proliferative phase. Anyone can give me what is proliferative phase? Okay, Anjali. Anjali.
Ovulation phase is a phase of a female menstrual cycle that involves the release of an egg or ovule from the one of the ovaries.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Everybody, read about the ovulation, guys.
Ovulation is when a mature egg is released from an ovary and moves along a fallopian tube towards your uterus. This usually happens once in a month, about 2 weeks before your next period. Ovulation can last from 16 to 32 hours.
Okay, ovulation is to allow the egg fertilize two male sperm cells. And next is we have the luteal phase. Anyone who can give me short definition about luteal phase? Okay, Melody.
Luteal phase happens in the second part of your menstrual cycle.
Okay, thank you. Very good. And everybody please read about the luteal phase.
Luteal phase prepares your uterus for pregnancy by thickening your uterine lining. A disorder involving your luteal phase can affect getting and staying pregnant.
Okay, luteal phase happens second day of your menstruation, and luteal phase prepare your body to pregnancy. And now let's proceed out. First, I will show you a picture of a ovarian cycle. Okay, so now I will show you a picture of ovarian cycle. So this is like follicle, and the follicle become or became matured and the matured follicle. So when the egg travel to the fallopian tube, when the egg travel to the fallopian tube, the corpus luteum is free or dead because the purpose of or the job of the corpus luteum is to make your uterus healthy for the fetus. Is that clear, class?
Yes, ma'am.
And now we are going to proceed the uterine cycle. Would you give me the short definition about the uterine cycle? Okay, Shana.
Okay. Uterine cycle is a complex cycle controlled by female hormones that includes regular bleeding.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, everybody please read about the uterine cycle.
Uterine cycle describes a series of changes that occur to the lining of the uterus or in the menstruum during a typical menstrual cycle.
Okay, the purpose of uterine cycle is to describe about the changes of your body during the menstruation. And we have a uterine cycle. We can give you of uterine cycle. Okay? Joaquin?
Ma'am. Menstrual cycle. The three phases of uterine cycle are menstrual phase, proliferative phase, and secondary phase.
Okay, very good. The phases of uterine cycle is menstrual phase, proliferative phase, and secretory phase. Now we are going to discuss one by one about the phases of uterine cycle. First is we have menstrual cycle. Everybody can see this.
Menstrual phase. It's also when you get your period. This phase starts when an egg from the previous cycle is then fertilized.
Okay, very good. Menstrual phase is to prepare your body for pregnancy. And if you're not pregnant, your hormones send signal to your uterus to shed and line to your uterus. And now let's proceed the proliferative phase. You can give me on short definition about proliferative phase. Okay, May?
Proliferative phase is the lining of the uterus from a new layer of endometrial tissue.
Proliferative or proliferation phase.
Proliferation means the cells are multiplying and spreading to build new tissue.
Okay, proliferation or proliferative phase is to the lining of the uterus where we have a new layer of tissue. Spreading cells are multiplying and spreading to all the new tissue. And now let's proceed to secretory phase. So you give me a short introduction. Okay, Melody.
Secretory phase occurs as ovulation is developed.
Okay, thank you. Now let's go back to this secretory phase.
Secretory phase is the time period between ovulation and menstrual phase. It's called the secretory phase because the lining of our uterus secretes chemicals during this phase.
Do you have any questions or clarification, class?
No, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now we will have another activity. Do you want activity, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will group you into 4 groups. This will be the group 1, 2, 3, and 4. And all you need to do is to draw a diagram. Before that, read the direction first.
Draw a diagram of the menstrual cycle and label its phases.
If you understand that,